Good, Trav. Thanks for meeting up and doing this. It's a bit nostalgic for me, I was thinking, actually, because I haven't been back here for 18 months, haven't come back from Adelaide. But we were just talking about how you're settling in here at Sussex, you're enjoying it, guys are good. What's probably the first bit of good weather you got?
Loving it, sun's out.
So, and you've moved around the country quite a bit, but have you found Brighton's been a nice spot for you so far?
Not for runs wise, but but it's a great place. It's somewhere where we've come in the past. Partner Jessica and I come here during the A Tour before the Ashes in 19, and obviously having a really good relationship with Dizzy. I knew it was somewhere where I could potentially come in the future, and Jessica come here and absolutely loved it. So it wasn't a hard decision. Obviously when Dizzy was keen, but then also the club showed a lot of interest in it, and was over the moon when I got here. She comes in a couple of days, in 10 days' time. So, but the boys, the environment, obviously Brighton, it's been awesome so far.
It's about the closest I reckon you're going to get to back home for you. And I'm going to go straight into it. You mentioned it, not for runs right now. When you're in a little dip of form, how do you manage that for yourself? I've gone straight in hard there.
Yeah, it hasn't, and to be honest, it hasn't. I've been fortunate enough, touch wood, that we haven't gone into huge haven't roller coasted too much over my career. I've always found a right way to try and be as consistent as I can, and as a cricketer, that's what I want to be. I want to be this consistent batter as I possibly can be. But I've watched a lot of footage over the last little bit of my batting here. Really happy. I was actually really happy with the way I played at Kent. Northants was a bit of a green wicket and missed out a couple of times. That happens. I was happy with my first sort of 60 balls at Kent and got myself out. And I probably look at that as the one that hurts the most. This week, look, I faced 6 balls to the game. Those games happen. Yeah. It was about going back, and I'm someone who will reflect heavily and watch and try and get better. But it's hard to reflect on 6 balls of the game. So I didn't get too caught up with it this week. I was almost kicking myself that I didn't make that score the week before against Kent on a good wicket here. Got 20, got myself in. Those are the ones that hurt when early season and you want to make an impact. And that was my opportunity. And the week that I had happened. So moving to Leeds, I trained really, really well today. So hopefully that reflects in the week at Leeds.
Do you know there's so much, even for amateur cricketers now, like Frog Box I've started playing even club stuff over here. There's Frogbox, the streaming, and even local cricketers can have a look at their video footage. And I'm already seeing like guys at an amateur level that are looking back at it. Do you find that you can overanalyze that footage too much, just dwell on it too much? And how do you kind of pick out the right things to look for compared to maybe just overthinking some of the things that are not really that relevant?
You probably overthink your dismissal. You probably overlook that one because that's one's the obvious one that you're out on. So I try to look at my start. I'll look through almost all my balls that I face. For me, it's about my trigger and the way I move and the way I time it against the bowlers. So for me, I'm just watching that consistently. Not so much the way I play the ball or hit the ball, but more so my movement patterns, the way I'm moving into the ball. If I was happy with that, 90% of Kent was that. So try and look at the positive stuff out of that. Try and look at the way if I can develop it and get better at it. But I think the one you overanalyze the most is the one you get out on, and that's probably the one that you either play the worst or nicked it or whatnot. And then sometimes, there's no pretty way of getting out. Most times it's pretty ugly in the way you get out. You're probably not happy with this shot, or you missed one, or your movement patterns weren't right. So a lot of players probably dwell on that, but I try not to. I try to look at the whole process and the whole way of going about it and where it can get better, and try and take the good bits out of that.
What goes into your training after, like once you've had a look at that analysis of your footage? Is there something you have that's a home base almost that you'll go to, or is there something that you'll be like, no, maybe I need to tweak that? How much of that just quickly transfers into your practice?
Yeah, I've got a pretty cool sound routine in the way I want to train and go about it, and I feel I use the ball machine stuff, a lot of slow throw stuff about my technique, and then I get in and face the bowlers. So there's like a 3-day out sort of thing, which is different here because you don't get 3 days out of a game. We had a day off yesterday, we have a training day today, we're on the bus tomorrow for 6 hours to Leeds, and we've got probably more of a loosen up hit tomorrow afternoon before the game. So I've had to develop that a little bit. I think one thing here is the wickets and the pace of bowling that I'm facing. So after having 2-3 games here, today I faced the slower bowlers, Sauls threw me some overarms, just getting used to the pace of the wicket more so. So my training probably getting sidearms and reacting to faster bowling probably better in Australia.
Yeah.
I found here that I'm playing really well in the nets, hitting the sidearm really, really well, get out in the middle, the wicket's slightly slower. The bowlers have been slightly slower, and they've been challenging, and they've been challenging a good area. So trying to own that is probably what I've tried to do so much today, and felt like I was moving really well. So
you know that it's such a big difference that you mentioned there about the stuff, the change in the turnaround in Australia to here. Because I mean, what's the standard turnaround in Australia? It's going to be like
6-7 days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially a lot longer.
Yeah.
So like even from a bowling point of view, it's way easier on the body. But like batting being such a mental game. What does your routine look like, and then have you kind of condensed it down?
Well, obviously, fortunately, we probably do 2 gyms, have a couple of days off, have 2 or 3 training sessions in Australia. Here,
Yeah, right.
You've sort of got the 1 gym and 2 good hits. So it hasn't changed too much. It's just what you get out of the day, I guess. And I probably had to do more. And I like to sort of have either ball machines, slow throws, a technique sort of time. Facing bowlers, whether that be bowlers or sidearms. I think here for me right now is better to face bowlers because my timing comes out slightly different. The wickets are obviously a bit slower, and that timing piece. And then sidearms that you top up. So, and then normally in Australia I'd have a day off, probably the day before a game, and just chill because you've already done 2 or 3 days leading in the day before the game. Where here you probably you're going into the game doing a bit more. Around the game, you're doing a lot more. Whether you missed out and you go for an extra hit in the morning, or you do a gym session on day 3 or 4. If you have a run, you're trying to condense that into the game. So then you get the day off. So yesterday, we had a day off. A lot of the guys left. I didn't do too much during the game because I've been doing a fair bit. So I come down and did a gym and a run and got myself moving yesterday. But I think you try and do more so stuff in game here, training each morning of the game, getting what you need. So then when you do get a time to chill, you can chill.
Does it feel all right? Does it really challenge the mind a little bit more?
I think seeing the guys go about it, I think it challenges the mind more from getting away from the game. We finished early on Sunday, bank holiday. I was sitting in my apartment by myself, thought, I'll get down the beach, see what the boys are doing. And I think it's a release for them. They don't really want to hang out. You've hung out with each other for 7 weeks already. We've played six games. So a lot of the guys, we even said brothers, family, dad, mates. So I just chilled out by myself, but because you only get 1 more day, you get yesterday off. So they take that extra half a day to get away. So that's one thing I found more is you hang so much in cricket, outside of cricket, they're pretty keen to go do their own thing, which is cool. So you need that time to do that. So trying to find space for outside of cricket, I think here at the moment would be the toughest part for the guys playing here. I'm here by myself, so it's cool. So, it's so if you're in form, it's great. If you're out of form, finding ways to get runs is difficult.
No time off to get straight back into it. What sort of things do you do to relax and get yourself calm?
I get out of the golf course a fair bit. Obviously being here by myself, I've had a fair bit of time and you get the sun like this afternoon, got out and played some golf. So Mitchy Clayton's going to come out, George Garton, a few of the boys enjoy a round of golf. So best being getting out. It's nice to get out of the apartment as well. So don't get stuck by myself too much. I'm someone who enjoys company and getting out and doing things. So golf's probably the outlet to get out and have a whack and chill out.
So when did you start getting into cricket? Like where did it start for you? What's the earliest memories?
Oh, well, backyard with my brother. But then probably that sort of 7, 8 year old, maybe 6, 7. I remember playing a bit of soccer and driving past, seeing it, mum pulling over, and away I went. So it was probably that stage where I was getting ready to get outdoors a bit more and play a bit more. There wasn't really, I can't remember doing a lot of like Kanga stuff or school stuff. Wise, it was more so just getting down to the local cricket club and starting. And away I went.
Yeah. So I've obviously played in Adelaide, where you're from, and when did it start to become a bit of a, right, this is something that I want to take pretty seriously?
Yeah, well, I went through I went to Teachery Gully and played the sort of 11s to 16s, and I was always up the grades, and then played senior cricket really early, which I think for my development was the best for me. It didn't really click for me until 2 under back-to-back under-19s championships, really. Walked out and did extremely well in my first of age 19s. I'd played a 19s year before ahead of my age, and I was someone that comes through the grades playing ahead but not really dominating too much. And I think that for me was playing against bigger, stronger, older people. me averaging 20 or 30 probably in those grades, but the guys I was playing under 17s with averaging 50 or 60 in their age limits, I think probably like for like. So then I got to a 19s championship and just gunned it, and that's probably where it clicked. And fortunately enough for me, South Australia weren't as strong as they would have liked to be at the time. And so pretty much 2 weeks after that, I played one second 11 game and I was straight in. So, and haven't looked back. So for me, from being a kid living out an hour out of Adelaide, travelling in, training, playing a bit of A-grade cricket, going about my thing, enjoying being 17, 18, to then all of a sudden within a space of 2 weeks playing first class cricket, it was pretty raw.
That's an insane turnaround.
I
don't think I've heard of anyone doing it that quick.
No, so yeah, and I just went and just had really, and I obviously was doing well in A-grade cricket and but without dominating it. But that was the real first 2 weeks of really dominating the stand, and that was me almost going back into 19s, back into my age limit. I'd been up the grades, been playing A-grade cricket. A lot of the guys were probably B-grade or still in the other system. So, and then fortunate enough that there was gaps in the first class team at the stage, and I didn't really know much about the Redbacks in South Australia. I didn't really follow bits and pieces of it, and then I was mixing in the dressing room with Maxie Klinger and Dan Christian and Coops and Ferg, and it was pretty crazy just facing Sids, and it was just it was crazy to turn around.
Wow, how old were you there?
I was 18, yeah.
So you're 18
just
going
turned
into
18, just had come out of school.
And I think, so this would be for definitely younger people that are trying to get into, let's say, cricket, but any sport. How important do you think playing up those age groups is for people who are trying to take it seriously?
Yeah, I think there's merit in both. I think playing your age and dominating and getting runs and being that, a bit like here, being the seasoned pro that's expected to go out and win games, is definitely that pressure. And that's a totally different pressure than going out and playing against senior players and learning the caper of going out and winning, being match winner and being able to win games of cricket. But definitely against harder, it was a bit old school then, and I probably grew up you sit in the dressing room, you chill out, you don't say anything, you watch the senior boys go about it. And but then you're also facing obviously faster bowling, more aggressive bowling. They're in your face. You cop a bit of banter, you get sledged a fair bit, and it grows you as a person. Makes sure and you don't either take a backward step or you take a step forward. So definitely developed me as a person and as a cricketer. But I think there's a lot of merit in being able to play above your grade, but then the opportunity to go back. And when you do go back, being able to be the best player, be able to win games of cricket, and learn the caper of going out and being able to perform. Yeah.
Had you always had an eye on leadership? Had you always been a captain in those age groups as well, or was that something that naturally progressed? Because fast forward a little bit, you became the youngest captain of South Australia. So then how was that something you were kind of being, say the word lightly, groomed to do, or led towards doing, or is it something that you had already been doing?
Yeah, it's not something I thought about at the time for South Australia. I think as you come through the grades, without sounding silly, the better players were the other captains. The best player of the team is normally the best, is normally the captain in your team. So my 17s and 19s, I was probably the better player. Got those leadership roles. And then when I went to the Redbacks and the opportunity come at 21, of course you're not going to give it up. But I probably seen it as that role. Okay, now I'm the best player in the team, which is it. You quickly find out that that's not the reasons why you're a captain. I think I had those capabilities. It was just about learning the difference between doing 17s and 19s to doing senior, working with adults and men. And it's a completely different caper now. It's something that I've developed over the years. I've got a huge respect for it. I love doing it. It's an extremely tough role, but it's more man-managed environments you create, relationships you create, communication and being able to listen. It's not necessarily going out. You can go out and perform, and that's what I try to do. I try to earn respect within the group at the start. Try to go out and learn off something like Maxie Klinger and Johan Bota, who guys that went out and performed and did it on the big stage and was able to go out and perform and lead from the front as a captain. That's how I think I earned my respect in the early couple of years, and then as I slowly learnt the role more so, being able to listen, communicate, build relationships, it was something I wasn't very strong at the start, and I really struggled with that. And I think as I grew into the role and got more of an understanding of that, I got more of respect for it.
Well, you may have answered some of what I'm about to ask, but what were some of the common mistakes that you felt you made early on, and then so what were those lessons that you learned along the way that would be crucial, and you would almost signpost for anyone who's trying to get into leadership roles and captaincy, and whether that's even, do you know what, whether it's in sport or it can even transfer out of sport, you know?
Yeah, I think the obvious one would be respect within the group. I hadn't got a first class 100 at that stage. I think I averaged 27 or 28,
right.
Which it was a huge learning, and then walking out and trying to have to speak in front of guys, whether or not they believed in it or not. But there's that self. I guess you're worried about what people think. There's anxiety around that sort of side of things, whether you have the respect of the group, whether you respect yourself. So definitely learning that, and then probably the other one was relationships with my mates. Being able to talk to my mate about being left out or why he isn't bowling.
You mean outside of cricket or within cricket?
Mates within my cricket. So dealing with some of my closest mates, Cambridge, Sam, Zampa, guys that I got along with really well, to flipping it and either telling Kane he's not bowling or Zampa he's not bowling, or why someone's not getting a bowl, or why they're out of the team, and being able to balance that act, I struggle with a lot. Feeling like if I told them something negative, that it would affect our relationship or my mateship. So being able to divide the two from a working relationship and a mate relationship was really difficult for me. And then I think as I grew in the role and respected it more and built those relationships better, to have better conversations, definitely was a flick the switch moment for me, probably 2 years in, to being able to, I've got this. I feel like I've got the respect of the group, which then develops your relationships, develops the communication skills, and then you can move forward and know that you're not affecting the outside stuff.
You're also hoping that they respect, like they have that respect as well, like, so you can respect them, you hope they respect you, but also you hope that they are taking their ego out of it a little bit. That's
and I think they were. I think it was just as a young person, I just didn't know how to have those conversations, or was either scared of them or didn't want to put it the wrong way. And then and when they affect you, when you're not as confident as you can be in those conversations, that can affect you, regardless of what the other guy's doing. So I think everyone is in the right space, but when you go home, you just, I think I stressed over it, because I was someone who went from a 21-year-old who sort of, my role in the team was to have a laugh and get the environment up and have a beer and just enjoy things, to then trying to be the leader of the team and being like the right moments at night and pull my head in a little bit. It changed quite quick. So I went from up the top to trying to stay as level as I can, and whether it changed me or whatnot. And you stress about all those things, because I have a fear of missing out and all those. You're just a kid, so I still am. So But understanding that and developing them skills is a strong point for me. I think it's something that I learned a lot.
It takes a lot of courage to do that to your mates as well. Like, it takes a fair set of balls to be able to do that. Was there anything you were kind of like telling yourself in, because even if you're visualizing walking into a conversation like that, that's going to bring some sort of like level of anxiety for someone, even no matter how good of friends you are. So was there something that you almost told yourself, almost in prep for those conversations, that was it for the betterment of the team, and hopefully that sort of you're both on that level? But yeah, what sort of conversation are you having with yourself to gear yourself up for that?
Yeah, I've built really good relationships with all the guys, so there's no easy or hard. There's no easy conversations to have with guys when it's at that space. So I think you just got to believe in the path that you're going, either with the team and the environment. I guess you're the leader of it, so you got to try and drive a standard. You've got other leaders around you as well. So I think if whether I had the conversation or when you're talking back home, if Alex Carey or Kane, leaders of the team, you can back that up. And whether or not he turns around and disagrees, it's the environment of the group. So I think you try and build that over a period of time, and I think that's what we've been able to do at home. And it makes those conversations easier if you believe in what you're talking about, and basically you're not bullshitting him.
Yeah.
And it's consistent and clear. I think that's when it's inconsistent. I think as a young cricketer, as a young leader, I was more so probably inconsistent in my conversations. Would try to almost say the things to please him, and it would contradict either someone else, or it wasn't clear as in the path that we're going. But now if Dizzy says something and I'm consistent with Dizzy and he's consistent with Tim Nielsen and the selectors and whatnot, then it's a clearer path. It's an easier conversation to have, and then also being able to have the development of the conversation, so being able to ask them the right questions or answer the right questions in the right way. So it is that. So I find it a lot easier now with a clearer plan and a clearer understanding of leadership, or whether the group wants to take us to being able to have that conversation with the guys and think that respect goes both ways and they can see the same path that we're trying to take. Yes, sometimes it can be hard, but they can be frustrated as well. I've been in tough conversations in the last little period as well. So if you can see the path, you take a deep breath, and a week later or 2 weeks later or maybe a couple of days later or a couple of hours, they work it out. And I've done the same thing, and then you reflect and you go, okay, yep, I can see where they're going, and then you crack on. And that's what you hope for in those conversations. You hope guys crack on and move forward.
Yeah. Where do you get your inspiration from with being a leader, whether you've actually got the captain's armband on or just being another part of the team in whichever environment you're in?
I just try and be myself. I don't really take a lot of inspiration from a lot of things. I enjoy winning. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy competing hard, and I want to try and be the best person myself, like best version of myself. And right now, I'm not a leader, but all I'm trying to do is build really good relationships, listen to the guys, help where I can. So I probably just take the inspiration out of trying to get better, like whatever impact I can make, whether that be with the bat, ball in the field, helping some guys, just chatting about the game, just being open and just being myself, like having a good time and enjoying it and enjoying what we do. So makes you come into work happy, and at the moment that's the environment I'm in. It's enjoyable. I'm not a leader of the team, but I feel like I can impact the team, which is cool. So it's nice environment to be in.
Well, being someone who's played international level and coming in as an overseas, there is a level of leadership that will come with that anyway. Yeah. So it's almost comes with the territory. Have you found you perform better being captain or not captain? Do you think it's an irrelevant conversation that goes on in sport?
It was a hard one because I've only, for the last little period, only been a captain, I guess, at home and strikers and had some good results. And but no, for Australia, I played well and there's been moments of being vice captain and whatnot. But I don't think it, again, doesn't drive that part. Doesn't drive it for me. It's about going. I want to be as consistent as I can be, regardless of leadership roles or whatnot. And every game I play, I want to win. Every game I want to go, I want to impact. So that's no different to being at home and being captain or coming here and wanting to contribute to the team's success. So that's what's enjoyable. That's why you play the game. So it's probably a bit of a beat up sometimes about whether guys perform better as a captain or not. Yeah,
we were talking just before we started about you travelling, having been to a few other clubs around the country, and you wanted to be somewhere consistent. You're here for a little while, hopefully much longer time. And every club you go to, I'm sure, has got a different set of values, has got a different way in which they play the game. And have you got your own internal set of values that you try to stick to and you take around with you, and you maybe try to impart on other players, and something that's allowed you to stay level-headed, consistent?
Yeah, we did a bit of a blueprint this year, a bit of a branding thing at the South Australia, and I think the three were my listening and communication, building relationships was one thing that was important to me, being a match winner. But what led to being a match winner, make sure I train really well, make sure I'm always working on my game and being a hard worker. And I think those two probably coincide with each other. Hard working then creates a match winner. That's why you play the game. That's why you want to play the game. But then over the last 18 months, probably the last couple of years, is that communication, listening part, being able to communicate really well, build really good relationships. I think that's where you kind of work. You want to build friendships, and and that's what makes the game so much fun. Is that you got mates in the team and you're winning games of cricket. It's great fun.
Yeah, and most notably over the most recent times, you've been selected, deselected, and again, any sport you play, being deselected from anything is a tough situation. I've had it. You've been in many different levels of that. Anyone who's listening that's played sport, I'm sure, has at some stage been dropped from a side. What is it for you that allows you to bounce back from it, and where do you go? Obviously it's a tough situation to be in, but where do you go with it? What are the things you're working on to build yourself out of it?
Well, the first question I would always ask is what I need to do to get back. What are the things I want to see? The obvious answer is runs.
But you're having those conversations, right?
Yeah,
you're straight, and like you mentioned about uncomfortable conversations. Yeah, that's one you're having.
Yeah, and it's obviously disappointing not to be either selected in a team or not playing, but it's why I'm not selected, or it's what I need to do to get back in. What are the things you want to see? Okay, you need to work on a spin play, or you need bowl more, and you need working fielding or your fitness, whatever that is, and then So then you can take that into, if you can take it or you don't want to take it, it's up to you. So, but then I'm always working on my technique. I'm not a finished product, and I don't think I ever will be, and always interested in working on new things and new techniques and talking to people. So, for me, it's just keep evolving, and the rest will take care of itself. Obviously, I want runs every time I go out to play. Obviously, they want to see runs every time you play. That was what get you picked in more teams. But it's that process, and the process more so, and I think a lot about the process over outcome. If the process is right, the outcome will take care of itself. So if they want to see me improve in something, try to improve in that. But then, and don't stress if it doesn't. The outcome will take care of itself, the selection will take care of itself, and all you can do is, right now, win games of cricket for Sussex. When I go home, win games of cricket for the Redbacks. If I play for Australia, try and win games of cricket for Australia, and try and contribute. And if you contribute, then you'll get picked in more teams, or you'll get elevated, and those things will take care of itself. But it's hard to get too far ahead or too far behind, or stress about the past, or stress about the future. It's about trying to go out and I got an opportunity in 2 days' time to go to Leeds and try to make an impact. So that's where my head's at, and that's what I try and do, is try to process, okay, what do they want to see from me? What do I need to be doing? Try and do that at training, try to implement those things, try to keep improving, and then go out and play the game.
That's such a nice, level, humble way of dealing with it, I think, as well. And I think just even from the way you're explaining it and talking about it, because I think the one word that wraps around selection is emotion. Yep. Whether you're selected or whether you're deselected, there's going to be emotion in either side of those. So it could be excitement, it could be frustration, it could be anger. But what you've described there just almost pushes emotion to one side and allows you to focus on the thing that ultimately is the most important part, which you said is the process. Yeah,
there's no doubt there's going to be emotion in it, and there's times where I've been filthy for a couple of days and don't agree with it. But there's no point kicking the can about it. Like, you work out what you need to do, and then that's how I believe in it. And so it's like, there is emotion. I do care. But as a person, as a cricketer, I try and stay as leveled as I can be. You have moments where you dip with excitement or disappointment, and you have moments when you're in your emotion that you dip or go up, but you try to balance it out as much as you can and try and see the bigger picture of things.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that it's not about not being emotional about it, because you do care. Yeah. So you can be angry, you can be excited, you can be frustrated, but dwelling on it is where things will fall down. Yeah,
and even when you're going as good as you're never going as good or as bad as you can. And I spoke to the guys about that the other day. Like, this year I had a really good Shield season, and it obviously got talked about a lot. But I could have walked out and nicked the same. Yeah. But like, there's moments in those innings that I look at and go, yeah, but if that, I got a bit lucky there. I got lucky there, and the result. And you look at, and a lot of people look at the outcome. Now, the outcome was great. But I don't think I'm batting as different as I have been in the last 3 weeks than I was for the last 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. So it's amazing that all of a sudden now you can be the best player come September, and then a horrible player now, and it's like, well, I actually feel like there's no. You're never going as good. You can the highs are great, but it's not getting left in the highs, and then the lows and getting stuck in the lows. It's trying to stay as level as you can be. Look at it from the outside and go, okay, there's moments there that I could get better at. Yeah, the outcome was great, but how was the process? Yeah, I might have batted shocking. Yeah, and got to 60, 70, 80. Now that's a skill in itself, because you'll be able to find a way. But there's moments that you bat unbelievably for 15 or 20, and you're frustrated. But then it's like finding that balance with all of those kind of things.
Yeah, that's so true. Like that, being able to deal with it when it's going well. That's a skill in itself. That is a true skill in itself. Is there something that you go to when everything's going well, that you try to tell yourself, whether it's because, like you said, it's a fickle game. Like, our sport is it's so strange, because you can feel $1 million, but be in some of the worst form on the outcome based of your life, and then people can't understand where someone is having a conversation to the media and saying, "Well, I feel great." I feel okay. It's almost like can't comprehend it, because they're not matching how you feel to how you're doing. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Look, all the things I've spoken about is what I try and do, whether I'm going good or bad. It's trying to stay consistent, leveled. Look at my game, my process, and try to get better. Whether that be getting 100 or getting a duck, I'll still go through. It's hard when you get a duck if you don't face many balls, to look at the process and see how I'm moving at the crease. But all in all, like I go out, try and compete, trying to stay in that same headspace around just going out and being aggressive. I like playing aggressively. I like playing positively, and balancing all those ideas, and then being able to walk out in the middle and being able to assess a wicket, being able to assess the environment, suck all that in, and try and play the best I can.
Yeah, and talking of assessing environments, like you've played pretty much all around the world. What are the ways in which you allow yourself? How do you get to grips with adapting different places when you pretty much land in a new country, having been, let's say, well, you've been in Australia for a long time, you've come to England, you already sort of touched on it a little bit about the pace of bowlers. What are you doing straight away to figure out the land?
Well, when I landed, you try and look back at periods where you did well, and I did well in the A Tour leading into the Ashes in 19. Played an A Tour game and got 100, played at Worcester and got 100. And so you go back to those situations.
Right.
And, I played the ball really well and square of the wicket, and I probably come here and try to cut the ball way too, and I got out like that at Kent. I got out here trying to cut Darren Stevens and then chop one on my stumps, and it was probably that moment where I rushed it a little bit, and that's what I did when I got in. And they're the good shots, I guess you remember. But the last 2 weeks is about the process of that. And so you just go back to your memory bank, times you played well, what you felt like you did right, and tap into the information. I've got Brownie here that's played 150 first-class games. Sauls has been fantastic. Ollie Robinson, who I've played a bit of cricket in here against, who's a class bowler, hopefully debuts tomorrow. So tapping into those guys about what they do well, what they don't do well, what the conditions are going to hold, what I should be expecting, and tapping into information that you've got. You don't know unless you don't ask sometimes. So coming here and trying to take in as much information with your own information that you've got over the years, and trying to best do that. And it was tough. The wickets were tough at the start, but there's no reason why I couldn't perform. And a little bit frustrating, but that will come. I've got all summer, and we'll get through this week, and away we go.
Yeah, mate, it's going to come. Like you said, that once you focus on that process, it will come. Yeah. We've spoken a lot about the cricket side of stuff. Is there things that you do to prepare yourself physically, mentally? Are there practices that you do? I know you mentioned gym work being a big thing, but what are some of the practices you'll have that will keep you sort of physically and mentally well throughout your time?
Gym work is not something that's been naturally strong to me. It's something that I've probably done. But no, it's just it's a schedule that we get. We normally go a couple of gym sessions. I think I've never been someone who massively gets into like running heaps and heaps of gym. I've had to do it in the last couple of weeks because I found body mass wise, I'm pretty good if I'm batting long periods of time.
Yep.
So in Australia, I didn't do a hell of a lot. It was a lot of more so time out of the game, time away. You get the golf, go out for dinner with Jessica, go for breakfast, chill out. And mentally refresh as much as I can, because even my skinnies and my body, I'm also look at my weight. My weight's down because I've been out batting for a long period of time. Now, if I don't do that and I nick off twice, I've got to do something. So a couple of gym sessions here and there, a bit of running, just to keep the workload up for the week. Because if I don't, then you blink, and then that's when you get a bit heavy and you get a little lethargy. Like you're not at your peak. So I just probably watch that as most as I can, watch body weight. My skinnies is probably the most important thing for me. If that's leveled, then normally my game's pretty leveled. So if I have a light week, I make sure I train a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, then I'll just try and refresh as much as I can and know that the game's in a good space and try to mentally be prepared to go.
That's really interesting to hear that from a batter point of view, because from a bowler it's quite easy because the workload's in the job. But if you're not getting the workload out in the middle, that you're actually making up for it off.
I think batters it's hard because you have this argument all the time that with the bowlers, because there's an exertion there. You can see the physical exertion. They run in hard, they're bowling hard, they're tough days. Now a batter can go out and nick the first ball. It's not that he's not trying. You know what I mean? Like he's trying his ass off. He's trying as hard as he possibly can. But you get to bowl another ball. You get to bowl another ball. Yeah, you're sweating. Yeah. You're working hard. You can see that hard work. It hurts. We understand that now, and they see us sitting up there drinking coffee. Yeah. I nicked one. Oh, bad. I'll get him next time. There's not that physical. I'm not waking up sore.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one, I think, for both guys, because mentally for us it's probably harder than it is for a bowler, and physically it's harder for a bowler than it is for a batter. So it's being able to balance that within the team, that you stay committed to backing each other in, and then you get your work done as a batter if you miss out. But geez, it's much better making runs than it is coming out of yesterday and mapping out a bit of a run, going for a run in the gym. It sucks. So I make sure I hopefully get some runs.
Just reward yourself. Yeah. Your reward is not going for that run.
The reward by getting runs is not having to run.
It's not having to run.
Yeah. But yeah, it is so massively important, and it's more so important here when you're back-to-back games and going to find the time to be able to do it. In Australia, it's very easy. We're mapped out. We get 2 gyms a week.
Yeah.
You get one running session in a week. Here, it's trying to find time for the gym, trying to find time to do a run, and keep the body moving, keep the body getting stronger, or probably just maintaining for me. It's not. I never have big pre-seasons where I'm going to all of a sudden change my physical attributes. No. It's about trying to maintain what I've been able to do over a period of time, and trying to maintain that throughout the season.
Yeah, right. Look, mate, that's real interesting to hear from a batter side of view. But what with everything that goes on in cricket, there's always like these high. Being a pro, and I've spoken to other pro cricketers about it, one of the things you recognise is that when you're a kid and you're playing it for the love of the game and you're getting into it, it's brilliant. But then when you become a pro, it becomes a bit of a business. There's a bit of politics around. How do you navigate that landscape and try and keep your head above all that when there is a bit of politics and also noise from the outside? So there's going to be noise from family, there's going to be noise from friends, there's going to be what people read about you.
Yeah.
How do you try and keep yourself away or level with that?
Yeah, I think the easy part is when you're in the environment, when you're here playing, it's easy. But now when you've got your partner to provide for, you get obviously you buy a house together, and you. Yeah, if your contract's up or whatnot, there's pressure. So, and the external stuff, there's always been pressure here with not setting it on fire. Obviously, fans they want you to see you play well. They expect you to win games of cricket. So, yeah, there's pressures. Obviously, I think there's probably more so pressure when you get back to your room and you're sitting there quietly by yourself and you're like, geez, I'm not cutting the mustard, and I probably could get a couple more runs and like you're out of contract, and guys will go home and stress about that. The fans aren't happy that I'm not getting any runs. They want to see me get runs. I'm overseas pro. They're pressures. But when you get in the environment and you have the support of the team and you're going out and playing the game, I think those things wash away a little bit. Well, they do for me. I don't think about those things at all. But when you get back to your room quietly, sometimes they pop in your head, and I think it's give and take. I think media, I think all those sort of things, they're part of it. I would expect the fans to be disappointed. I would expect the fans to expect more. I'm more than happy. I normally have a look. I normally go online and have a look and see and I think you get a good understanding and sometimes a good perspective of what you do and how lucky and fortunate you are sometimes. And sometimes it can actually fuel the fire a little bit, and you know that people care and people want to see you do well, and people will ride you if they don't. Hopefully they're the same people when you do well, that they support you and back you and congratulate you at the same time. So I think it's a two-way street, hopefully, with the fans. I think you deserve the criticism sometimes, and then you get the accolades when you do well. Unfortunately, this game probably gives you more of the other than it does the better side of things, but I would expect nothing less than fans to expect a lot from the players and expect success. Like, expect it. I think it's a strong county. At home, we're the same. Like, a strong team in the past that now obviously rebuilding, going through a stage, but the fans want to see silver. They want to see success. So I think it's warranted most of the time.
Yeah. So talking about some of your success, talk us about what the Boxing Day test is like. That, because I've only watched it. I haven't actually been to one yet. I really want to go over there and see one. And I think the real interesting insight that I got was from the test, the Amazon special. That was fascinating. And even looking at Tim Payne's calendar for pre-game, almost like the schedule, that blew my mind of what was actually going on before a game. Yeah. But what's it like being out in the middle and experiencing that? Well,
probably the two tests that you look forward to is your home test, playing in front of Adelaide.
And that's actually an unbelievable test.
And that's an unbelievable test. It's a party test match of the summer.
Yeah,
so
you're
you
very
go through
lucky.
Boxing
You
Day,
actually
you got
are.
the pink test, and you got Adelaide. They go raucous. They get day night. Now they get day night. It's basically a nightclub at night time. So they love it. And the next one is Boxing Day test. I think, other than just playing the game, the build-up first is incredible. You get all your family in, you have Christmas lunch, you're spending with obviously Jess has come a few times. Family were going to come this year, but obviously COVID stopped that. So hopefully I get another one in the future. But that build-up is awesome.
Yeah.
Because you're with your family, the kids are around the nets on Christmas morning, we're having a hit in the nets, and
really,
it's fantastic.
That's cool.
It's a fantastic week because you get the whole Cricket Australia family as such, with all the players, all the families come in. It's great. So the build-up's lovey-dovey, well, everyone's smiling, everyone's happy, and then you walk out in front of 90,000 people and it just turns a gear. So incredible week. Obviously, Painting has to do a lot more than some of the rest of us. I just chill out in the back and get ready, have a hit, bit of breakfast, and away I go. But it's a hectic week for all those reasons. Everyone's there. You got to sort out tickets and boxes, and there's people flying around everywhere, and it's pretty hectic. But once you start, it's a cool week.
I'd actually throw a third one in there, which would be the New Year's Eve Strikers game.
Yeah.
And I was there when you hit the 6 on the last ball. I watched that game.
Yeah.
When you're playing in a game like that, and again, this would probably be Boxing Day and that, when big crowd, a lot going on outside. And I think that's another thing. I was speaking to Jamie the other day about his debut and him talking about when you go out in the surroundings of a actual professional venue compared to when you're playing just club cricket. Yeah. There's that element to deal with, but then on top of that, 90,000. You got last ball in a T20 as well. You got like 50,000 at Adelaide Oval. Yeah. What are you doing when you're facing that last ball, and what are you thinking about?
Well, you don't think about the crowd until after, or that kind of stuff. I've never, ever the Boxing Day at the G or at Adelaide Oval that night. I don't think the crowd ever. I think you feed off it, and you got an energy. Obviously, your body gets an energy of it. You're heightened, and you're going. I think that probably heightens everything a little bit. You're just batting, and my mind was set on the game and the ball, and it was like there was almost nobody there. Like, that's the thing.
Wow.
Like, you get in that moment where, and then obviously, what happens, and then there's a moment of going like the place is going bonkers, and it's a cool feeling to be able, and that's what I spoke about before. You walk out and you want to win games of cricket, and you want to contribute, and there's no better stage of doing it. And I've been very fortunate to be able to do one on get 100 on Boxing Day and get 100 on New Year's Eve, and I think that it will sink in eventually. But right now I'm playing cricket and loving it, but it'll be better later on when I've got grandchildren and we roll out to Boxing Day and they kind of all family come around and we're having a beer or backyard and have a cool barbecue, and I can say, hey, like,
I was there.
I got 100 there. And then 4 days later, when they're watching the Strikers, I'll be like, hey. I got 100 there.
That's awesome.
It's going to be a great week for me when I'm 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and I'll be selling them. I hit it into the top tier at Adelaide Oval and carrying on like a muppet. But
Grandpa Travis going on about it.
Oh, he's going on again on Christmas again. Oh, God, I've got to go there and listen to it. But I think that's where the moments that you enjoy and you look back on. And I'll take the piss out of it a little bit, and it's good. But I think that's the moments where you look back and it's pretty cool. And but yeah, it's amazing playing in front of big crowds. And even we've seen here the other day, 700 people, 800 people here for the game the other day, and the young guys hadn't played in front of a crowd, and they walked out.
Yeah, real interesting.
Get a little clap, but whether it be 800 people here the other day or not, like that buzz of playing in front of a crowd, it's no better. Like, there was butterflies walking out and getting a clap and that, and it was nice. It was warming to be able to play in front of more people, because as a professional cricketer, that's what you want to do. You want to walk out and entertain people. We talk about a lot with the Strikers. There's a reason why there's 40,000 people there is because we go out and entertain them, and that's our job. Is for Big Bash and T20 especially, is your job is to go out and entertain. And you want to bring people in here, and that's something that the Sussex do really, really well. We've got an unbelievable T20 team. I can't wait to hopefully have 6,000 people in here. I've heard only good things about the ground, and there's a reason why it's full all the time. Yeah. Because you've got righties fighting it everywhere. You got Salty, you got Joff and CJ.
Rashid's going to come back.
Rash is coming back. Like, you got T as well. Like, you got an unbelievable, like Delray. Geez, like, there's so much excitement in the team, and they entertain. Yeah. So there's no, like, I'm not surprised that it's unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to playing in that environment and going out and putting some smiles on faces. And like I said, the club expects success, and they've had that in that format of the game. So it's why you play. Yeah, timing it beautifully with hopefully the unlock with the COVID situation. So this place, and I'm seeing the new stand over there that they've got. That's going to be it is amazing atmosphere here when there's a T20. Because everyone's so close. Like where we're sitting right now, literally you can be the other side of the boundary and you can be having a conversation with someone, and that also sparks people's interest in the game. Like obviously it's not, you don't have to be a fool to know that T20 is spreading the love of the game, and we've got the 100 coming up as well. What do you think of the 100? I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping. I'm wondering where. I'm hopeful to maybe get a bit of a sneaky look in it at some stage with obviously COVID and a lot of guys missing out, maybe not coming. There's a lot of tours now getting moved into that period. So I'm excited by it. Hopefully I was a bit disappointed when I didn't get picked up in the draft, but hopefully I have a good T20 series and get myself in there, because then you're mixing it with how many teams are there? 6 or 7?
Yeah, actually, I
Maybe
can't
not
think.
even.
Maybe 8.
Yeah, 8. So you condense that from a 16.
Yeah,
county.
It's going to be.
It's going to be great. Like you're mixing with some really, really good players, strong players, and it's a new environment. So I'm looking forward to watching it. Hopefully, being involved in it. But I think it's going to be great for that reason to condense the pool of players. It's going to be high quality. You're going to see the best against the best. The guys from different counties getting a great opportunity to play with guys from different counties, which is then exciting as well. You meet new people, develop off new people, learn off new people. Guys here obviously go to Hampshire and you're playing at the bigger grounds, more people. It's going to be great.
That's what you touched on it as well. Like, it's an entertainment business.
Yeah.
You forget that it's this sport. Once you get to this level, it's an entertainment business. So it's how many people you bring through the door. As much as your career is important, but you're trying to turn heads in seats and get people involved. Like, that's a shift in why. Or not why you play the game, but why you're out there at the same time.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing guys that are coming through that are getting better at it and better at it. For example, someone like Hill Del Rey's unbelievable talent, who's come into it and played it, walks out here in front of 6,000 people, puts on a show, and he's a hell of a cricketer, hell of an excitement package. And you watch him play 4-day cricket, plays almost the same way. So you're seeing a lot more younger guys coming in, and they're not afraid of it as well. That's the thing. Like, he's used to that. He's walked out here. He could walk out in front of 90,000 and play exactly the same way, playing at 6,000. Because here, there's not much more pressure really. Like, to play in front of a crowd, to express yourself. He does it perfectly and does it well and eats it up and loves it and actually probably plays better in front of it. So I think you're seeing a lot more younger guys coming through that and building more confidence around their game, and I think that develops them way better.
Yeah, mate, you've been so generous with your time. Just
Easy.
a couple more things, I reckon. I wanted to know what drives you out of all this that we've been talking about. What currently drives you?
Winning. I want to win a county championship. I want to win a Sheffield Shield in South Australia. The other two priorities for me. And just, winning silverware. It's something that I haven't done a hell of a lot. As a junior at Teachery Gully, obviously, we had huge success. Won a lot of grade finals. And those 2 or 3 days after that are the funnest times, and the times that we talk about winning those grade finals or winning a big bash. The other nights that you talk about, the other games that you talk about. So I'd love to be able to do it here. I think we've got to obviously have an extremely good finish to the season to be able to put ourselves in that mix. But to play for trophies, to play for silverware is why I play the game. Yeah,
and last thing, is there a whether it's a book, a film, could be a documentary or a person, maybe even a quote that you think's had a positive impact on you getting where you're at?
I think early days, a person is Peter Sleep.
Right.
He coached me at Teachery.
He coached me as well over in Adelaide.
And he was. I was at that stage where either I was going to move clubs or what I was doing and where I should be, and he just simplified it right down and just drove me hard. And he was someone who picked me obviously ahead of my grade and played for Australia, played for South Australia, developed me as a cricketer, as a person. So he's probably the one. And then as I've developed, and Tim Nielsen I have a great relationship with now. He's someone I've spoken to in the last few days about how I'm going and also just how things are. But those are the two guys that have probably driven me and developed me the most over Sounders. Obviously seen me since I was 13, 14 coming through the grades. And Tim Nielsen the same. I debuted and he was as the boss there, the high performance there. So he's seen me through my whole career. He's seen my ups and downs and then knows me probably better than most in this environment, and someone I can go to straight away and ask and talk to. Yeah,
Sleepy literally would say keep it simple. He always, and he's
in a very simple way.
In a very simple way, he's a master at doing that.
Yeah,
Trav, mate, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for doing this and finding some time in the schedule. And good luck for not only tomorrow and the next 4 days, but good luck for the rest of the season. I'll catch you down here and hopefully, like I said, entertaining a much larger crowd over the next few days.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be a great season. Thanks for having me, mate.
Legend.
Easy.